Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be making another empire. One of our last ones remaining, apart from Argentina. Once again, let me know if you want any new ones or any ones that I may have missed. But let's go ahead and begin here with a Pakistani declaration of war in Afghanistan. And while we're here in an already unrealistic war, I should mention this video is unrealistic. Some of the events are favored in Pakistan's favor, such as India not instantly declaring war on them when they try to expand and get stronger than them. Or just them being able to push into Afghanistan at all. Like the Soviet Union, the UK, the USA, all in their primes, could not defeat this country. But somehow Pakistan is. Maybe their proximity could allow for better supplyment. But we're going to assume some things here. We're also going to assume that all alliances are now gone. Some relations may still stand, but most alliances are gone. With that, the push towards Kabul started. As if you don't know Afghanistan's geography, this is all desert and this is all mountains. And most of their population is in the mountain valleys, in between the mountains. So that's what Pakistan is going for here. Yeah, this leads to a lot of Pakistani success in the beginning as they know what to do and they're doing it incredibly efficiently. They run into one of the similar problems the USA had of having most of the populated regions under their control, but the rest of Afghanistan guerrilla warfaring it out. But we're going to go ahead and assume that the Afghanistan actually managed to get themselves a government in this world, and that is close to surrendering until Pakistan makes a small bit of a larger push in, and Afghanistan for some reason faces some more instability that causes them to surrender. The uninvadable nation has just been invaded, and Pakistan is annexing all of it. In real life, I'm not even sure if Pakistan would want to annex it. It's an unstable, poor country. But this is an empire, Pakistan. It gives them more borders with weaker nations, and it expands them, which is all they care about. Also, these borders are really nice. That should happen in real life. It'll also give them more of a balance with India, although India is still a good amount larger and more powerful. Which honestly, I don't know who I root for. I guess I don't want to make it too controversial though. So in the Indian video, India won. In the Pakistani Empire, Pakistan's of course going to win. With that though, Pakistani troops begin to push into Tajikistan. And it's not going to be a very long war. Honestly, I get all these capitals mixed up. Tashkent, Astana. Yeah, all of them just mix them up, but I know where it is, and it's captured. Maybe this one, Tashkent is for Tajikistan. No, this is Tajikistan. What about Turkmenistan? No, I'm getting my stands mixed up here, but I know the country names, and they are now declaring war on Kyrgyzstan. So yeah, they begin to push into the south of the country. Once again, not going to be too difficult for them. This is an incredibly powerful Pakistan who's being buffed and everything is going in their favor. So yeah, we're not going to assume that they're buffed, but we're going to assume that they're the most lucky country alive, that all of their political instabilities suddenly go away, the threat of their nation falling apart departs in moments, and that any other internal or external issues they had are automatically resolved. With that, they continue their wars by declaring war on Uzbekistan. And yeah, Pakistani troops are just going to zoom in. The capital, which is right about there, is captured. And Uzbekistan, yeah, there's not much you can do here. Pakistani troops just begin to push in. Pakistan could probably beat all other Central Asian nations combined. So picking them off one by one, not even including Kazakhstan, is not going to be a huge challenge for them. Of course, this is a bit far from home and difficult to supply for them with low logistic capabilities, but their army is pretty capable and manages to cause Uzbekistan, one of the only two double landlocked countries in the world, to surrender. Also, it's supposed to be white. That's going to annoy me the whole video if I don't color it in, so I am. So yeah, this is actually not going to be fully annexed, but it is going to be puppeted, so there's no more Uzbekistan. It's now Pakistani Uzbekistan. So in any kind of war scenario, they will be forced to join on Pakistan's side and supply and help them as much as they possibly can. So yeah, Pakistan has gained themselves a good amount of land. But honestly, I like to think that if this continued, the world would completely team up against Pakistan because, oh my god, the border gore. Let's go and fix that with Pakistan going ahead and declaring war on Turkmenistan. As, oh my god, they already fixed like half the world's border issues over here in Central Asia. Yeah, the world loves you for that, Pakistan. The world loves you. And that is seen as they begin to invade Tajikistan. And once again, it's going to be a pretty easy war. Most everyone agrees that Pakistan will just push up into Central Asia. And I do as well, which is what's going to be happening here. The capital is captured. And after pushing in a small amount more, Turkmenistan surrenders. And same as with Uzbekistan, about half the country is taken. And the other half is made into a puppet government that is incredibly loyal to the Pakistanis. And would pretty much do anything for them. So yeah, the whole point of this was to get a few permanent allies that can never leave them. And actually, here, let's go and unite these two. In real life, it may not work out perfectly, but they're both Pakistani puppets. And for the Pakistani government, that's good enough to unite them. Two official languages, two official cultures, but hey, they'll survive. They were once both under the Soviet Union, and they'll do fine now. With that, Pakistan is now seen as a much larger world power, and India is starting to get a bit worried, but not as worried as this is going to make them, as Pakistan goes ahead and declares war on Iran, which in real life would most likely start a massive Middle Eastern war. But once again, this is Pakistan's video. There's no point in turning it into a what if the Middle East war happened in 2023, but Pakistan's also in it. So we're just going to be focusing on this border. With that, Pakistani troops instantly begin to flood on all borders, although the main push is over here in northern Iran. Honestly, it's mostly desert, but they want to get here to the Caspian Sea area, which is where their capital and a lot of major cities are. And it's where a lot of Pakistani troops are, as surprisingly enough, Pakistan wanted to get all of the wars over and done with. So they sent a majority of their military up here into Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. With that, they begin to push heavily into northern Iran, causing them to meet up with the Caspian Sea and begin to push towards Tehran. But right before the city is captured, we finally see India getting involved, as Pakistan has been expanding enough behind India's back, and India will no longer allow this to continue. They basically say in the declaration, hey, we're done, you're dead, we're done. But with India joining in, you have to have China joining in. Anyways, this is all for the benefit of Pakistan, so for some weird reason, the USA, Japan, South Korea, none of them will want to join in here. It's Pakistan's war, they can only get allies. And India, because India's India. So with some Pakistani troops kind of distracted by the new war, Iran is able to push back slightly, with Indian troops beginning their push into Pakistan, mostly along the border, along with into China, in multiple areas. The Indian military had been heavily ramping up and preparing for this, as they knew it was coming. With this though, India in real life, this new Pakistani Empire is quite powerful. I probably still have to give it to India, just based off of land area and population. Then again, the Pakistanis would fight very hard for their independence against India. Same thing with India against the Pakistanis though. But with China, well, let's just say China can beat India, Pakistan can beat Iran. Iran's already lost some land, and although India got the sneak attack, that won't last long, as Pakistani troops actually decide to let China handle India for now. And although it may not be the smartest move, they decide to continue their push into Iran above all else, capturing Tehran, and overall forcing the almost immediate capitulation of the country, with, I know, mountains over here, But honestly, these Pakistanis have dealt with their fair share of mountains and have their fair share of mountains. I think they'd survive. With that, India, as I said, has had a pretty easy time pushing into southern Pakistan, although Karachi was defended. They also begin to pollute the river. One of the most important rivers in all of Pakistan, which is devastating for the country, the Indus River. But honestly, I don't think India would do it much, as they don't want to lose public support, and they don't want the world to look at them as the bad guys here, although a lot of it already does. As they said in their letter that they were defending Iran, but honestly, that might just make them look worse. With that though, China's having semi-ease pushing in over here into eastern India, as this is how they're supplying it, and that cannot supply it fast enough, with their head start quickly being de-established, and China pushing to this small border which they can share. And yes, mountains are right here. India cannot supply those mountains just as much as China can invade them, and it just leads to the fall of them to whoever got there first. With that, China also begins to push back India over here near Tibet. India is overall winning along this border, but it's getting much and much closer to the Indian border. With that, Pakistani troops are now also arriving to kick India back, as they're having to worry about Chinese troops crossing into Indian soil, which is quite scary for the country here, as they didn't expect this. They might have seen China coming, but they definitely didn't see this coming. With that, full Indian troops are, nope, I'm just gonna have to do it by hand. Full Indian troops are retreated out of Pakistan and China, as what's the point of having a bit of land in Kashmir if your capital's gone? What's the point of holding a few extra mountains if all of your important land is gone? That's basically the logic India uses here, probably the smartest thing they could do, but honestly there's not much they can do here, as the full Chinese and Pakistani armies are here, and that is a strengthened Pakistani army, plus they've already lost a bit of land to China. Would they get some allies here? Most definitely Japan, the USA, South Korea, North Korea. This would turn into World War, just like this would turn into Middle Eastern War and maybe a World War. Yeah, we're assuming some things here, but Pakistani troops are able to begin to push into India. Yeah, for the record, in my Indian Empire video, India was absolutely destroying Pakistan, so if this is Pakistan's empire, if I have Indian people watching this, don't get mad at me. With that, all of Kashmir falls, and yeah, Indian troops are falling back quickly here. Pakistani troops use a superior navy to push down the Indian coast, capturing Mumbai, one of India's most populated cities. Although if you didn't know, you might think Mumbai, a lot of important cities down the coast. Well, yes, but over here, due to the eastern and western Ghats, it's not very densely populated. A lot of it's more up here where the Himalayas can feed them water, agriculture, whatnot. But yeah, just a quick demographics lesson there. And that's going to lead to China and Pakistan focusing on this new northern region, along with pushing towards Delhi and to encircle a lot of northern India, where a lot of Indian divisions are. This all goes incredibly successfully, as the red team does better than even the red team thought they would do. India is completely encircled here, as for some reason Indian generals had very hard time communicating, and that miscommunication has led to India's almost complete collapse already. This is seen as this push into Kashmir has expanded into a push through all of northern India, meeting up with this eastern attack and capturing all of the north. Some mountains there, not as bad as over here in Tibet, Nepal, and Bhutan though. With that, they continue to push down around Bangladesh, another very highly populated region. But honestly here, India's just slowly going to fall, as their entire northern bit falls with the fall of New Delhi and Delhi. I'm saying falls a lot here, but India is falling, so makes sense. With that, India actually decides to take the fight to the bitter end, kill as many of them as you can approach. Here, they conscript another 2 million people to attempt to push back, and they're going to do what China did in one of my latest videos. Slowly conscript people and keep conscripting. It's terrible for them. They're literally just throwing people at the enemies. But clearly it's working as they're pushing back. They're suffering, at this point they've already suffered 10 million casualties while the red team has suffered 2 million. It's terrible for them, but it's working. Although with all of these men being thrown, they can't just send empty-handed men. As Chinese and Pakistani forces, although you'd expect them to be less supplied, they're doing much better than the Indians, who have completely worn out all their equipment and are getting less and less support, as the Pakistani Navy, together with the Chinese Navy, have fully encircled India's fleet. And India can no longer communicate with the outside world, at least not much, as even Chinese and now new Pakistani satellites, Pakistan made it to space, woo! But satellites are blocking Indian cell service and cyber warfare, of course. Space warfare, not too big here, but this is in the future by like 10-20 years, so we can't know what to expect. We're also assuming nothing else happened in the world, only what Pakistan is doing, which is unlikely. But huge encirclement, push down in central India, and not the surrender, but the capitulation of the country. That means they didn't want to lose, they didn't want to give up their country, but they just completely collapsed. With that, let's draw in these final borders and see what the Pakistanis and now the Chinese, their allies, have to work with. So there's Pakistan's new land in Iran, just about half the country. And as for India, well, they're going to suffer an even bigger loss. As Pakistan here, their main goal was to humiliate India in any way possible. China actually concedes good amount of land to Pakistan, as they were the beginners of this war, and we're going to go ahead and assume that they got some good politicians to get them this land. Although China was given all this land over here in eastern India, so is it really that bad for them? No, probably not. India still exists, yes, so does Iran, but they're incredibly heavily weakened. Honestly, they're a very weak country. They're both quite weak countries now. India is actually given a new government, not a complete puppet government, because the people would be even worse. Honestly, there's already a ton of guerrilla warfare and uprisings in this new land that Pakistan and China have to deal with. If they completely puppeted it, it would just get worse. So this is difficult land to hold on to, but over the years, Pakistan will begin to just quelch any rebellions and destroy anyone who wants to, which gives them a bad public image. But hey, communism, censoring stuff that gets out of your country, works out for them, actually. In real life, I don't even know what they would be. In this world, they did go to dictatorship, but it's kind of communist, as they want to keep a very good alliance with China. That will give them a lot of benefits, as China is the reason they won against India, and China could be very beneficial to them in starting their kind of own alliance with China. It would probably still just be the East, though, as Russia would most likely want in. With that, though, let's finish drawing in these new borders, and we can go ahead and see what the world looks like after Pakistan has made its empire. Well, so poor Bhutan, they're just stuck in between China. Honestly, just poor Bhutan. Gotta feel bad for them. They're stuck in the middle of a hostile nation. Also, are they the ones that don't recognize China and still recognize Taiwan as the true Chinese government? I don't know when I saw that video. It might be out of date by now. It probably is. But I actually saw that once. With that, let's go ahead and decolor in China, as we only want to see what the Pakistanis have accomplished. Although China is their ally, they also have puppets. And as I said, they have a friendly regime in India. Not a complete puppet government, but a friendly regime. This is our new Pakistani Empire. The only same border that hasn't changed is this one up here with China. And just all the borders with China. With that, though, I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.